In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for this blessed opportunity to be in the presence of your glory and your love. I ask, Lord, that you give me the words you want to impart to your faithful people that are here gathered, and that I live our lives, all of us, in your love and grace. Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Before we begin, there is somebody who has a Nissan, I believe, in the parking lot. And I know you love this church very much, but unless you want to stay here, it is in your keys. Please see Miss Gabrielle. There's your key. If not, somebody will park in our parking lot because I thought, oh, I definitely going to stay here. Take out one of the Bibles and open up, please, to page 918. The numbers are there on either side. My friend Alex Costodas changes the numbers every week, so we appreciate that. In the Gospel of our Lord, proclaimed by the book of God, St. John, in the first chapter, the 46th verse reads, "And Nathanael said to him, Can anything good come out of Nazareth? Philip said to him, Come and see." In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. I'm sure that all clergy have some scriptural verse that is very particular to them. There are two that are very prevalent in my daily life. One is from the Psalm. It says, "Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth, and keep the door of my lips." You can basically say, Lord, help me to shut my big mouth before I say something that I'm going to regret or to hurt somebody else. The second one is this teaching where Philip says to him, "Come and see." The young man here today that was here yesterday, and I invited him to come to church, and he said, "This is like you've never seen before." And we've been doing this for almost 50 years, telling people to come and see. Nothing shows more than what you see. Okay, the expression says the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So coming to the church and experiencing the liturgy tells you volumes about what we believe and how we try to live our lives. So when he says, "Come and see," you have to say, what you see is what you get. I believe that. What you see is what you get. I will tell you, honestly speaking, I very rarely go and buy a cup of coffee. If I buy an 8-ounce cup of coffee, there better be 8 ounces in it. Better be 8 ounces in it. And I remember one time, many, many, many years ago, I was in a diner and I asked, and I'm sorry, but I like pink lemonade. And I asked for a glass of it. She said, "Do you want this small, the medium, or the large?" I said, "Well, how much?" She told me each one. The large was like 16 ounces. That was a little bit much to me. "I'll take the medium, which is 12 ounces. And she brought out the medium cup, and it was 3/4 full. I said, "Ma'am, were you thirsty before you brought me this pink lemonade?" She said, "No." I said, "Well, is there something wrong with the machine?" She said, "No." I said, "There's got 12 ounces here." What if you want to be precise? I said, "I'll tell you what. How about I give you less money for the pink lemonade than your church should play? I think we're going to fill it where you're supposed to be." So I'm the type of person that believes what you see is what you get. So very simply, when people look at us, what do they see? Now today we are commemorating the restoration of the icons, or the referencing of the icons live in the church. Why are icons so important to us? I love the icons. I do. I love the icons. Why do I love the icons? Because the icons are representative to me of who's being depicted there. Do you know that back in the 1960s, even after he was assassinated, almost every African American home in America had a picture of John Kennedy in the house? You know that? Because they felt that Kennedy was really supportive of civil rights. And when they looked at the picture of Kennedy, that was what they weren't reminding about the fact that he came from Massachusetts, they were reminding of a pretty woman, that he was a Democrat. They just remembered. So when we look at the icons, we actually, and the whole icons bring those into heaven. We're looking into heaven. So when we respect and we venerate the icons, in reality, it's transferred to Jesus Christ. We use the expression, and many times people that come to our church come from a Protestant background. You know, and our Protestant brethren, they sometimes take scripture out of context. And one of them says they don't like icons. They say they're graven images. Bill Moore, have you seen that large picture on the wall of the kitchen in the fellowship hall of a lady? It's been there for a number of years. You remember that picture?
Your mom.
Is that my mother?
Yes.
That's my mother?
Yes.
No, that's a picture of my mother.
No, it's your mom. A picture of your mom.
Can I hit him? It's a picture of my mother.
And I can.
It's not my mother. When I look at that picture, I think about my mother. But it's not my mother. So a graven image is something, if we felt that that picture of my mother was actually my mother, that's a graven image. Something that in of itself you are representing or worshiping or respecting, that is actually the God. The icons are not. They are reflections. So when we look at the icons, we think about who? We think like, why, for example, let's see, why is this icon important? Because St. George, who was a military commander in the Roman army, he loved God more. The St. Archangel Michael. Okay? Why? Because they are all teaching us, showing us, helping us to think about God. I've gone to churches, not Orthodox churches, where there's just bare walls. Nothing, just bare walls. It's very difficult for me to maybe think about God, which I can do it. We can't do it. I can think of my mother without the picture. But the picture is very helpful to me. Okay? It's very focusing for me. So when we look at the icons and we think about the reality of what they reflect, the question is, what do we reflect as people? What do we reflect as people? There are about 9 large community churches in downtown London, maybe 10, I'm not sure. 12 years ago, 13 years ago, the only church that invited the homeless to be fed on his property was this church. The smallest community of all. How did that happen? Because a church where they were getting fed had a school, and parents from the school said, we don't want those bums on the campus near our children. You send a child to school to learn about life, right? You prepare them, you train them. So should we be raising our children as if people that we don't really want to be around don't exist? That's ridiculous. They're going to have to deal with it. So we said, come on here. The city didn't want them being fed in the park. We said, come on here. We took it literally. So my point is that when people, and I've had this said to me, many times they said to me, thank God, Brother John, that your church stepped up to the plate. We were blessed to do that. That's something I paid for us. We were blessed to do that. My heart opened more and more to understand homeless people. And I have a number of people in the homeless community that, I don't know why, but they like me. I come to church on Sunday. Ron didn't run out there this morning, right? So when I came this morning, good morning, right? Morning, everybody said, good morning, Ron. You know how meaningful that is to me, that we have this repartee between us. So when people look at your church, they look at St. George's, they look at a church that did something that reflected in reality by action God's word. Goes on, it says in verse 47, Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him, and he said, behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom there is no deceit. Properly living Christians can have no deceit in them, but we do. Everyone in this room, at various times, everyone, is a liar. I don't mean to lie to somebody else. You lie to yourself. You lie to yourself. You don't want to tell yourself the truth. And as long as you don't tell yourself the truth, you're going to be captive by the conflict. We need to stop lying to ourselves. We need to honestly look at ourselves and see what we can do that the Lord is blessing us to be better reflections of His love. The simple thing is that we deceive ourselves about our problems instead of facing them. With God's grace, we can correct them. But what do? Let me ask Alex. Alex, you may not answer a little short. If you have a headache, you get headaches? What do you do when you have a headache? What do you do?
I'm just thinking about something good.
Okay. What do you do when you have a headache? Usually. Do what? Ask. We take something. This country leads the world in popping pills. That's why we have opioid problems, because we take a pill for everything. Everything. So what do? We lie to ourselves about the problem, and then we try to cover it up with drugs, with alcohol, with immoral living, rather than facing what the problem. That is why people keep. We talked about this before. The drug problem in America. The drug problem in America will not be solved by sealing the borders. The drug problem in America will not be solved by eliminating all the drugs. Did you ever hear of fentanyl 20 years ago? Just like the problem in the world. We eliminate the Nazis, now we have a problem with communism. We eliminate the communism, now we have a problem with terrorism. Because why? The author of the problems is the devil. He has many left out there. We need to change ourselves. If everybody in America would face what it is that's bothering them, why they go to the drugs, why they go to the alcohol, why they're looking to always do the sexual immorality, if they would do that, and they would change it through the grace of God, they would have no need of these things. Pornography would not exist on the internet if it wasn't that so many people were going and looking at the pornography. We need to change ourselves. We need to change ourselves. So if we do that, if we then change ourselves, we become icons. We become images of Christ to the people around us. We become, hopefully, a motivation for them to change. I was speaking with somebody the other day, they were telling me their confession, and they said jealousy. Now, Gabriel, you should know this. I'm not going to fight you. You've only heard about umpteen times. Is jealousy always bad, in your opinion?
No.
When can jealousy be good?
Well, I think I don't know how to answer that.
Okay. Gabrielle's eyes were weak. She's got this 2022 beautiful. Here's the bad jealousy. How come she's got that? I want her. She should have that. She deserves that. Right? That's the good thing about jealousy. Here comes the good jealousy. Ooh, I like that girl. I need to work harder so I can save some money and buy a car. Her car, my good jealousy, motivates me to do the right thing. There's two kinds of jealousy. So when we look at our lives, we can sit and say, oh, there's this and this and this and this. Do something about it. Do something about it. If you don't do anything about it, nobody else will. All they will do is they will pour you out on it. It says in verse 51, and he said to him, Moses, surely I say to you, hereafter you shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. Would everybody just do me a favor and stand up with me? Just for a moment, just stand up. Don't look around you. Do a whole 360 degrees. Look around you. What do you see?
Icons.
You see heaven. You see heaven. As much as you're going to see heaven in this world, you're seeing heaven. Angels ascending and ascending on him. Here's a beautiful representation, icon of our Lord Jesus Christ. In the divine liturgy during the little entry before the priest comes out of the gospel, he prays, O Lord, thou hast appointed in heaven hosts of angels and archangels who serve thy glory. Cause that with us the host of angels may true with us. One saint, I think it was Sarah, he saw thousands of angels going into the Holy Altar with their fingers. There's plenty of room because angels don't take up any physical space. My point is that when you look around, why is this church always something else, something more? So that you can feel the reality. Reality, Michael, reality, Ryan, reality, Logan, reality, Richard. Is right now you've got as much in heaven as you're ever going to get. That's why being here is so. Somebody said to me, I said, I understand now why it is so important to go to the liturgy every Sunday. If we could go to liturgy every day, we'd be better off. Because why? Why do we have Lenten services? Not just to kind of get us through Lent. We have Lent services. My brother, Subdeacon Chaz, and I always say that the best part of Lent are the services. They're so meaningful. The sanctified divine liturgy, the service of the Lord, days of the Virgin Mary. Why? Because they help us to see the reality through the icon of Jesus Christ.